My name is Ashu Roy. I'm the CEO of eGain, and I'm very happy to have all of you here today. Thank you very much, Rick. That was a fantastic presentation, and I have a few points to take care of myself, particularly the first of the three ideas that you gave right at the end. That meeting room looked very familiar to me. Sorry about that. But I'm very happy to have the opportunity to share with you some thoughts today. What I want to do is take a look at what Rick talked about, which all of it really made so much sense to me. The idea of bringing the customer virtually into your conversations, to be able to think of customer experience not just as a cost and investment, but also as an opportunity to create force multipliers, which is exactly the way we think about the idea of bringing together customer experience with agent experience and business experience, the A, B, and C. What we have been doing for the past year, I want to share some of that with you, and then we will move on to looking at the trends that we at eGain see in the marketplace that I'm sure many of you are seeing as well, and observe some things that we could help with and we think are likely ways to profit from these trends. And then finally, I'd like to share with you what we are talking about as designed experiences. And this is an interesting convergence and overlap with what Rick was talking about. We have been working in this area of customer engagement for some time. We've been developing technologies and solutions. And what we find is that it's not enough to provide technology. It's not enough to provide products. We also have to combine that with designing those experiences that you in your business are trying to take to your customers. And how can we help in that? How can we bring those best practices and how can we bring those into the product and into the services that we deliver? So those are the three things that I'll cover today. Let's start with a quick overview of what we've been doing at eGain at a very high level. So the last 12 months have been good for us. We've had some good business performance. We have built our business on the SaaS platform in a pure cloud-oriented way now. We are not just growing the business, we are also able to take the investments that we are able to make into our products, our customers, and our partners. I'll give you some examples of that. The other thing that's interesting about our business now is as we have consolidated all and focused all our energy onto the cloud platform, we are able to deliver some very exciting capabilities that I'll share with you, which we have announced over the last few months, but I would be remiss if I did not bring them together for your overview kind of consideration. So let me start first with customer success and the story that Rick shared, which, again, you will hear in great detail from David Walker, who's one of our customers from BT today, later on. He tells a great story of how they have built this solution for 10,000 agents and 600 retail store associates, actually associates at 600 retail stores, that delivers not just better customer experience, but also delivers really good agent experience. And they're able to do a brilliant job of balancing customer experience and agent experience. And for us, that is very exciting and very gratifying because we have been working extremely closely with them, among others, as customers, and not just provide the technology, but also the expertise, while we are learning the challenges and the problems, providing the expertise as to how to deliver the next level of value. And I'll give you an example. Team members of ours, Ian Jones and Linda Yeardley, both of whom will speak today in front of you and share their experiences, they and their teams have been working with our customers in BT, with David and other team members in his organization, to figure out what is the next level of performance improvement, the next level of experience improvement that we can deliver beyond the numbers that Rick shared and David will share. So what I'm talking about here is eGain team is now working on a proactive basis with our customers to not just deliver the product and say, hey, it works, and so we did our job, but to look at the product and say, how is it working in your environment? What can we learn from the way your customers are interacting with you on our products, or your agents are using our products, or your analysts and authors are interacting with our products? What can we make better? How can we design better experiences? That's a level of improvement and progress that we have made over the last 12 months that as a company we're really, really proud about. And we'll share some of that with you through the day. The next thing that we have seen, which is very, very nice in the last 12 months, is we've been able to add on a whole layer of capability in our platform beyond just features. Right? Features are important, no question, what we call dots in our parlance, and that's the notion of connecting more dots. How many more features and capabilities can you bring to the problem at hand? That's valuable. But even more valuable or equally valuable is how do you deliver it in a secure, scalable way? In the cloud, that is vital for you all, our customers. That's one of the number one issues that you have to make sure is guaranteed. And so in our cloud, for instance, in the last 12 months, we've been able to add a whole bunch of certifications and capabilities, including SOC 2 compliance, HIPAA, PCI, and now we are very close to getting on to high trust, which will be available in the next 3 months or so, which is an important certification in the healthcare sector. And lastly, one of the capabilities that we have felt really something that is unique in the market is the notion of always-on cloud. Now, an always-on cloud is something that talks to the unmentioned part of cloud service in software. And that is, I'm sure you're all aware of, if you have either built or used cloud-based software services, scheduled maintenance downtime. Scheduled maintenance downtimes are a fact of almost all cloud provider services out there. And we felt, based on our customer needs, because we are servicing you all who are big brands in the B2C sector mostly, you need 24/7 operation. And in a 24/7 operation, scheduled maintenance downtime is not acceptable. So we built out a capability that allows you to avoid scheduled maintenance downtime over an entire year. Typically, maintenance downtimes are every week or every 2 weeks for every cloud vendor. Happens over the weekend. You cannot afford that if you're running a 24/7 operation. And so our always-on cloud service gives you uninterrupted service level guarantees all through the year. And once a year, we are going to have a scheduled maintenance downtime. That's a big change in terms of actual availability of your service compared to anything else out there. So that sort of innovation makes us feel like we are providing a platform on which you can rely on. The last thing that we have done in the last 12 months, which is quite encouraging for us, and we continue to work on it, is expand the set of deep partnerships that we have in the technology space. These are complementary technology platforms, and the ones I'm going to mention are mostly in the contact center space. And we feel that the convergence of our digital-first capabilities, which are now omni-channel, with the classic contact center technology systems, which start with voice and then build out, is a natural one. And we have had our partnership with Cisco for several years now. It's been a very successful partnership. We continue to work on that and deepen it more. But in addition to that, we have now added deep integration into Amazon Connect, as well as into Avaya. And both these then give you, our customers, the opportunity to be able to extend your solution and investment in eGain to connect with all these different systems that you need to have in your contact centers. And we are looking at more and more of these deep partnerships, deep integrations. Of course, we have our connectors into the standard CRM systems of record out there like Salesforce and others. But when we are talking about deep integration of routing, of knowledge, of media management, of reporting, that's the level at which we are starting to connect with these other systems in the contact center like Amazon and Avaya. So that's been a good year for us. We are very happy with what we have been able to accomplish. So let's move ahead and look at what we have been seeing in the market, and let's see if you agree with me on these trends. They are organized in the ABC space, the way we look at AX, which is agent experience, BX, which is business experience, and then CX, we all understand. And our definition of that is that you balance your experience optimization across these three, you get the benefit of digital experiences. Let's start with consumers. Rick's talked eloquently about what customers' mindset is. To us, it's very simple, very much along the lines of what he mentioned. Customers want easy. They want service from you quickly. They want to get out of it. They want correct service every time. And they want to save time. Forrester's big study over this several years, they've been running this study. Time efficiency is the #1 ask in service engagements. Very obvious. We all have the same challenge. We don't have time. The other thing that's making life harder for all of us as consumers is choice and complexity of products. There's so much choice out there, so many variations, creates a lot of what we all understand now and appreciate as cognitive overload, which is you just have to think. So the less you make people think, the easier the experience they have with you. And then finally, in a transactional environment that we are all in now, more and more, trust deficit is an issue. Because of experiences in the past, or because of the lack of time, or because of cognitive overload, trust is something that suffers in customer-vendor relationships. I'm not suggesting that we have the solution for these in a sort of optimal way, but these are things that we think about, that you are worrying about, so that we can deliver the tools and the services to help you do a better job at it. That's, to us, an ongoing trend, like Rick said. It's not like customer expectations have suddenly shot up through the roof. No, they just continue to edge upwards. There's a time squeeze, there's a complexity squeeze, and there's a trust squeeze. The next thing is your agent population, your customer care teams, your frontline staff, your employees in general. The millennials and Gen Zs want to work as they play. It's very simple and obvious. We all have the same expectation, right? I grew up playing a certain way with computers and software, early days, and then I expected those sorts of experiences when I got into work. The younger folk have the same expectation. They grow up playing with consumery, web-centric, and now media-centric and social-centric tools. And so they expect, or toys, and they expect the same in the work tools. And we have heard this again and again now from several customers. I'll give you an example. I was at this was a prospect meeting, actually, not a customer meeting. We were talking about providing knowledge and AI solutions to this financial services organization. I was sitting in a room with about a dozen people from the other side, and we were going through our pitch. And they told us they had Salesforce as their CRM, which is great. That's a very common thing we see nowadays. So we go through the discussion, and at one point I asked the question, I said, how many Salesforce systems do you have? And they kind of looked at me like I know something more than I should. And I just said, because I hear from other customers that sometimes they may have more than one. And they said, yep, we have 3. And I said, do you have any other legacy CRM systems? They said, yeah, we have a Siebel as well. I said, and what do your contact center agents use? They said they use all 4. No wonder the level of satisfaction that agents have, the same thing that Rick said. This is a Gartner study, which is that 84% of contact center agents are dissatisfied with the work tools that they're using. 84%. That's an easy way to say that work tools that have been deployed now do not work with the current environment. The current environment, which is digital first, which needs all these channels to play nicely with each other, which needs more empathy, which needs automation on the front end and guidance in the back end, that space is still very underserved in the market today. That's what we see. And to us, this is a great opportunity because what we do is we are providing that sort of solution for the agent experience. And we can talk about that in a second. So if you think about the agent of the future, which is your millennials and Gen Zs and hopefully younger and younger folk over time, these new challenges that they are facing, which is when a customer comes in, they know a lot more about the product and the problem and the information around pricing and availability, quite often more than the agents. They have already taken all the time to self-serve. So now what they're asking is really some difficult, tricky, potentially hybrid experience questions. And for the agent, it is vital to be able to solve this problem quickly and smartly and feel like they are doing a good job. They want to have fun doing it. Again, Rick's point was absolutely on the money when he said, when you ask agents in the front line how they're doing in terms of the tools, you get a very different answer from when you ask people like you in the room or maybe even folks who are in the C-suite. They feel that the tools are perfect. So a simple way, just like Rick said, walk in the shoes of the customer, it's nice to say, walk in the shoes of your agent. Sit in that seat for a second and see how many tools they're using, how many screens they're using at the same time, how many CRM systems they're trying to bring together in their head, and how many knowledge and content repositories do they have to go into before they can answer a question. Very simple. Okay, the next trend we see is more and more data. Again, nothing new, but it's a boiling frog syndrome, right? The water keeps getting hotter. And so there is so much data. All our organizations are now storing, and what I call store and ignore. Because it's almost impossible to take advantage of all this data. Doesn't mean you cannot, it just means it's quite challenging. And the reason it's challenging is that all the data that you are generating in your organizations because of the touch points you have with the customers, all that data comes in different silos because different tools are generating different data. So in that environment, now you have this promise of AI, which we are all aware of, we are all fired up about, and there are lots of what I'd call programmatic investments underway in large organizations like yourselves. Guess what? Gartner just did the study earlier the year looking at AI programs, projects, and investments, and how are they doing? Not surprising, it's early days of all these investments. A couple of interesting points. One, on average, organizations are taking about 4 years to get to launch an AI application. You can decide for yourself if that is adequate or not. But certainly, there's room for improvement. The other thing that's interesting is so far, business execs are saying that only 4% of the projects that they have actually deployed have delivered business value. Again, I'll leave it to you to decide, but I think one could do better. And the way we think about AI in the context of customer engagement, we see the opportunity to do better on both of these axes, value and time. When you think about how you can take advantage of all this data, how you can take advantage of layering AI and essentially data-driven insights is what, in my opinion, AI is, whether it is machine-based or whether it is machine and curated. Consuming all this innovation faster and at scale, that's the opportunity here. And the approach that we have been talking about, and many other companies have been talking about, we are not the only ones, is that platform-based solutions which bring together multiple capabilities will reduce the amount of interconnect effort and cost to connect all these dots. Yes, there are APIs out there for all kinds of small capabilities, but the cost of connecting and maintaining and updating and ensuring uptime and guaranteed performance is still quite high. So there is a balance between how big a platform you go with, between point solutions out there that might give you particular capabilities but very limited capabilities, and your internal development effort. And with large organizations like yourselves, many of you are in large companies, internal development is always a very big option for you because you have the capability to do it. And a simple way to think about it is comparative advantage. The idea of comparative advantage is a simple way to think of where to stop internal development and where to look at partners like eGain and others. So the idea of focusing on what you can do better than anyone else, and you can do better than any other thing you can do given your choices, that's comparative advantage. So many companies that we talk to, like a large telco that we are working with, they have decided to focus on building out APIs to access all the data that they have in the organization and serving up that data through these secure REST APIs to their vendors so that they focus on what they can do better than anyone else and then bring out the market innovation to connect into the available data that they have created a common way of accessing. It's a very nice way to think about it. I'm not suggesting it's the only way, but that gives you an idea of how to think about comparative advantage when you're thinking of platform versus internal development versus point tools. The last thing that we are seeing, which may or may not resonate with you, but we are seeing it across many, many, many customers, is that content is also a huge issue now. It's not just data. Data you can ignore. You can generate a lot of data, you can store it, and never use it. And as far as the world is concerned, you're doing fine. You just don't have insight, that's all. But content that helps your customers or helps your agents respond to customer inquiries is vital. You cannot do with poor content. And that's a challenge that we see all over now, is that the number of things that you have to take into account increasingly goes up. So the speed at which you're changing your business is going up, so product life cycles are getting shorter, new product launches are more numerous, your portfolios are expanding because businesses are growing, either organically or through acquisition, and products are getting more fancy. And unfortunately, when they get fancy, they get also more complicated to use, which is one of the challenges of design. At the same time, your service offers are getting more nuanced. You want to personalize service offers to customer segments. You want to personalize it based on ethnographic variations. And lastly, your customers are interacting with you through more and more touch points. That's continuing to grow. People don't throw away touch points. You just add to it. And every touch point has its own unique requirement of the kind of content that works well. So put all these together and you have this multiplicative effect of content that is getting more and more complicated. The know-how of how to respond and what to respond with when a customer gets in touch with you. That content is becoming more and more unwieldy, and that's a big challenge for businesses. Because no amount of CRM systems are going to help you if at the end of the day when the customer asks a question and the agent has to surf through 16 different things and then concoct an answer in their head, because there is no way of creating a single sort of version of the truth for that particular customer through that channel for that product in the service that they have bought. Personalization, if not done right, can be overwhelming. So we think that there is a growing opportunity out there for what we are calling the enterprise brain. It's a concept. It'll take time. But the idea that you look at your knowledge in the organization not as disparate sources of content and information, mostly documentation, not that. That'll always be there. That's the inside-out way of thinking about this enterprise brain. But the outside-in way of thinking, and I'm continuing to borrow metaphors from Rick here, thank you, Rick, is to think of it as something that you believe and you know will make a big difference in how your customers and your agents experience your company. And the idea that it should not just be thought of as a fit and forget investment. That's how content management, document management, all these capabilities have been thought of as you put in a tool, you throw in all the content into it, and you search through it, you get the answers. Life is good. Again, to Rick's point, that's a C-suite view of things. When you get down right to the agent and you see how the agent has to look at all these different options and a search response that has a whole bunch of answers, they all look the same, while the customer is on the phone or on chat, the world looks very different. We believe that there is a big opportunity for businesses to think about knowledge everywhere, not just knowledge for the contact center. You can start with the contact center. You can start with knowledge for your customers in self-service, but to think about it as an enterprise-wide knowledge capability, which does not start with answers and content. It starts with questions. It starts with what are the questions that people ask in the language, in the voice of the person who's asking. And then the technology associated with figuring out what is the right answer, how to personalize it, how to maintain it, manage it, learn in it based on feedback, curate it. Absolutely important to have that alongside all the machine learning and all the AI. You need to have curation because you need to ensure that when the conversation becomes crucial, which happens very often in customer care, could be financial advice, could be healthcare advice, could be are you entitled for something or not, you cannot just rely on algorithms to give you the answer, because if you're wrong 1 time out of 10, you have a big problem. So curation is vital alongside algorithmic and AI learning. So a solution that starts with the questions, takes all the content and documents and inside-out pieces of material created as know-how, maps it using the technology that's available, and allows for ongoing contribution from everyone in the organization. Learning from the group, feedback, and then curation. There is a huge opportunity for that sort of a layer of knowledge everywhere capability in organizations, we believe. So those are the 4 big things that we are seeing out there. Of course, there are many more, but I thought I'd focus on these 4 because we feel these are relevant for what we're trying to do for you and with you. Let's switch topics and talk about the third piece that I was referring to, which is designed experiences. And this is, again, along the lines of, by the way, I did not see Rick's slides before he shared them, but it turned out that many things he's talking about, I'm dovetailing nicely into them. So what we are seeing in working with you all, our customers, is that the more we can bring our expertise and our intentionality, the way Rick mentioned, into helping you while being aware of the unique problems you have in your organization, the better the chances that we can do a good job for you. At the end of the day, it's a very selfish, enlightened selfishness here at work from our side, right? But we believe that that's going to be a better experience for you, our customers, and therefore for us. So let's start with agent experience. Give you an example of what that means in terms of extra capabilities and new things that we are working on now. And you'll see all of them in the demo area today and talk to our team, and hopefully you can learn more. So up to now, let me just kind of give you a quick sense of how we've been thinking about agent, business, and customer. So from the customer end first, we've been talking about automation. It's not what you're seeing on the screen, but I just want to give you an overview. From the customer end, we've been talking about automating the customer experience. When it gets to the agent, we're talking about augmenting the agent experience with tools and guidance and technology. And then when it gets to the business, which is folks in the room and everyone who's supporting the agents to help customers through self-service or through agent assistance, we are talking about orchestration. So those are the three verbs that we have been using: automation, augmentation, and orchestration. Okay, so now let's get back to the AX part of it, which is augmentation. So in augmenting, what we look at is capabilities that help the agent do a better job. AI process guidance is an example. What Rick showed and what David Walker will discuss in much more detail is how we help agents in these large service organizations with the right sort of unscripted guidance that delivers high levels of first contact resolution and all the other good things. So that's great. We do that. We're very proud of it. We think we do it better than anyone else. All that is nice. Alongside that, we also believe that personalizing knowledge is very important. We talked about that in the context of content that is overwhelming organizations. Great. However, we also believe that if you put yourself in the agent's shoes, the agent also wants to feel empowered through all this. It's good, this is good, but we want to add another layer to it, which is empowering the agent. How do we empower the agent more? We can do that through the pieces we talked about, but on top of it, we believe that it's time for a new way of thinking about the agent desktop, the agent real estate screen that they deal with 8 hours a day. And that's something we believe is uniquely served by what we are bringing, and that is this advisor desktop, which is a digitalized solution for omni-channel service. And there's a framework that we have put underneath it that allows you to bring sources of information from your CRM systems, from your website, from your contact center environment, from your content repositories, all into this framework in a way that is fun and is effective for the agent, not for the end customer. Because to us, getting the agent experience right has the force multiplier effect. And so this empowerment is something that we are putting out there as an area that we are investing in, and you'll see lots of capabilities from our demo area in that regard. So that's the AX part of designed intentional experiences that we are driving. An example, just putting it in a pictorial form, if you think about typical large organizations, this is not to say that this is true for everyone, but quite often we see this, multiple CRM systems, multiple content systems, more than 2 for sure, multiple contact center technologies out there on the voice side, for sure. Multiple websites, multiple brands. And then a need to connect all of those to these different customer engagement touchpoints, which we are all aware of. And for the agent, connecting all of them without having this one new way of looking at a tool that brings all these capabilities into a platform and serves it up through a well-designed, digital-first, omni-channel environment, we believe is the way you can create much better agent experience in your organizations. Again, this is not necessarily the picture for all of you, but we believe that more and more companies find themselves in this environment now. Let's talk about CX. So CX, of course, is the place you always start with, but we wanted to kind of put the agent front for the reasons we just talked about. So with CX, we have been talking about virtual assistants, which is a big thing, and we are very, very proud to talk about what we are doing there, and our customer feedback has been extremely positive. And you'll learn more about that. I don't want to get into all the details, but the way we have been able to engineer the VA experience is something that is quite unique in the market. And let me give you a little bit of sort of view into it. First of all, we have had a virtual assistant for 18 years. Sounds terrible, sounds old, but that's when we first built out our first virtual assistant. It was a 1.0 product. We worked on it, we built out a 2.0 product. Last year, we built out a 3.0 product. And the 3.0 product combines all the dots that we have, all the capabilities we have in our platform to deliver a solution that doesn't just automate the conversation, but also connects it into process guidance in your organization, connects it into the knowledge base in your environment, and ensures that there is an escalation built into it to assure the customer seamlessly, end-to-end, where hopefully more than 50% of your conversations are fully automated, but if there is a need for human assurance, it is available. Human assurance is vital and needs to be alongside all the automation that we deliver. This is our view. Because if you go for extreme automation, it starts to feel like IVR cul-de-sac, kind of IVR black hole, where you just can't get out of it, right? You keep trying to find the zero button or whatever else that gets you out of it. And that's something you want to avoid with virtual assistants, because once people start to get a perception that VA is a way to just shunt me down a low-cost way of service, then your brand suffers. So we want to bring automation, but bring it in the context of seamless human expertise right behind it, whenever available. Not just that, you can be smarter about it. And that's something we'll show you in the demo as well today. You don't have to leave it with a human forever. If the human can solve the next set of tricky interactions that the customer has, and once the customer feels more assured, you can pass the baton back to the virtual assistant, and the assistant can take it over from there. So we have this seamless bot mode and human mode, and you can have a conversation with a customer through that journey. And all of it connected, all of it analyzed in one place, all of it available for future reference. We feel that's the next wave of improving customer experience. Not just automation, but automation tied into assurance. The other part that we see with assurance, with customer experience, is tying relevant notifications, proactive notifications, out to the customer, into the journey of the customer. And this is something that many companies do well, but quite a few don't do very well either. And what I mean by that is you get notified about things that you get irritated by after a while because you kind of got 3 notifications already, And if there were a significant change, you should get another notification. So intelligence in notifications is vital. You need to have the ability to interact with the notification. You know, how many times do you get a notification that says, don't respond to this message? Well, if I have a question, what do I do? So assurance must have the element of interactivity if needed. Maybe only 10% of the cases you need it, but when you need it, you want it. So to us, it's about connecting these capabilities so that when you enable notifications for your customers and they want to interact with you on certain journeys, you want to be able to enable that with a flick of a button activated in your platform. And just that's sort of ability to create journeys that are connected and intelligent is what we mean by designing the experience. This is a simple example. This does not, by the way, show you all the different complexity inside these connections, but shows you in a very simple way how the different layers of capabilities in the eGain platform interact with each other to deliver that automated first, but escalated if needed, with intelligence across the entire experience. So you're starting out with all the different messaging capabilities that you have, all the different channels of contact you have. By the way, and at every step, you have an API-based interface as well. So if you have a third-party capability that you want to plug into this, that's great too. We can fit right in. But all the connections inside the eGain platform are configurable. You can control them. You can design these journeys intentionally. So they are automated, they are digital first, and they are assured. To us, that is the next level of creating a brand built on these better experiences. And then finally, BX. So in BX, we talk about orchestration. We've been talking about it for some time, and some of the capabilities you'll see in our demonstrations as well as in some of the presentations through the rest of the day today. Areas of connected analytics. What we see with many of our customers is the fact that they have analytics at two levels. One is analytics in the enterprise, which is this warehouse-oriented approach. It works. It works well. You do a lot of heavy lifting. Once in a while, it's a batch mode operation most of the time, but you do aggregate all the data, and you get what you call descriptive analytics, for the most part. And then there is another analytics that we see in a lot of these customer environments, and that is what I'd call point analytics. So every tool that they use, an operational chat tool, or an operational social media tool, or an operational knowledge tool, each one have their own analytics. Those are fairly real time, and they are quite valuable for that particular silo. But for the folks who are managing the contact center or managing the customer experience dashboards, there is no way to get near real-time analytics across all the touch points. There's no way. That's what we mean by connected analytics for customer engagement. Across all the channels, across voice, all the different digital media, across knowledge, across customer journeys, to be able to get near real-time connected analytics. And today, because of the whole mobile phone and smartphone variation that we have, most phone calls can be connected into digital journeys because of the identification from the phone number, mostly. You can do that. So there is a big gap and therefore a big opportunity which we address with this connected analytics capability. The other thing is we have set out, because we see this as a big pain point, we have sat alongside people who manage large contact centers. And they're not talking about one contact center. These are people who are managing 5, 6, 7 different operations across different time zones. Some are outsourced, some are insourced, some of them are home sourced. They are looking at service levels, they're looking at agent loads, they're looking at volume of incoming contact, and they're trying to manage all these across availability, across exceptions. We see the challenge of doing this on an intraday basis. We're talking about every half a day, every half an hour, you're changing different dials, just a little bit here and there. It's like navigating a large tanker. It's slow, but needs to be navigated. One of our customers today who's going to talk about connected analytics and how they use is Assurant. And they'll talk to you about how they are using analytics to do operational optimization and management. We have taken that a step further with our products. And now what we do is combining the machine learning and AI capabilities that we have in our solution, and looking at the data that is in the analytics system, in our system, we can provide ways to automate certain actions that you are very confident of in terms of response. So, for instance, if you had a situation where your service levels on your contact center chat are starting to drop, and you have the ability in the eGain platform to push self-service in front of chat, you could decide to automate the process where the self-service would show up first before the chat gets connected. And these are simple activation configurations in the eGain platform. And therefore, we can automate that loop so that humans don't have to intervene just at the right time. These are obvious decisions. We can bookend them so that they don't go completely out of line. But that sort of automated orchestration is something we believe creates a lot of value because you can do it multiple times a day automatically for guaranteed benefits, small benefits, but guaranteed benefits, all the while improving your customer experience and your business experience. Just one example. But orchestration is good. We feel there is another opportunity here, which is what we are driving toward, and that is anticipating the next set of needs for your business. So it's not just about operating quasi-statically in the current environment. We've all talked about the fact that things are getting faster. Things are getting cheaper, more automated. Customer expectations are slowly rising. All the things that the gentle stream against which you are paddling. The customer engagement and customer experience agenda. Anticipation is vital. And so by adding machine learning services into our platform, something that we are now offering, we can start to help you figure out the insights that you're looking for as to what is around the corner in your business. We're not talking about externalities here. We're talking about your business. The data you have in your environment, what can you learn from that? And what insights can we help you with? That's something that we are very excited about. This is a new thing we are offering in the last few months. We think that this is something that we can develop over time and identify different capabilities that we can start to bring for you. Learning from your data with your permission. And lastly, new dots. That's always the case, right? We're always building new things. How do we bring those new dots to you? We have so many capabilities. To us, dots are capabilities. We have so many capabilities that often we believe that consuming these capabilities is non-trivial for you. Because you have your day job, you have your operational requirements, you have your program priorities, and here we are throwing more and more dots into the mix. So what we have decided to do is come up with a different way of engaging with you. And that is what we're calling the eGain Value Assurance Partnership. The idea is that our services group, our team that helps you implement, configure, solution the eGain environment, is going to not just do all those things, but take a more partner-oriented approach. And that partner-oriented approach will mean that we will work with you through the length of our engagement with you and for you, which is typically 3 years to begin with, and hopefully many more after that. But for those 3 years, we want to be alongside that process, alongside your investment, not just finish up the first implementation and then kind of assume everything else is fine, because the rate at which we are introducing new technologies is quite rapid. And we want to make sure that you get a chance to try these things if they make sense for you and get full value out of it. That's the value of our platform. We don't want to just leave you with one or two of the capabilities and you're wondering what else could have been. That's something we feel is not working well. This is our new model. So a program-based approach where we are bringing in the benefit of our technologies in your environment with a trial that does not cost you money, that does not cost you any commitment, and trial that, based on our expertise and our recommendations and your agreement, can be activated in less than 30 days. And each of these capabilities can be added on to improve either AX, BX, or CX. So to us, that is a big change in the way we are bringing the ability to consume all these new things on our platform. And the one offer that we have that we want to mention to you, and hopefully you will check it out when you go outside and take a look at the demo as well, is our AI value in 30 days. This is our way of offering to you a no-risk, no-cost option to try out our AI capabilities in a production environment with a small subset of your customer or agent use cases. This is not going to be an entire one, because we want to do this in 4 weeks, but give you a chance to experience the way we can deliver this AI value for you in less than 30 days. It could be all the way from customer experience around virtual assistants, all the way through to agent experience with AI guidance. And we think that this is a great way, both for our existing customers as well as prospects, to try out the new dots. And that's where we feel the big impact is going to be in your environment. Not just us building things away, but how do we make it valuable in your environment? So with that, I thank you for your time. And Manju is going to be next, Manju Ramachandran. She will share with you the demo delights that we have for you. Maybe some of you have had a chance to look at it. But again, thanks a lot for your time, and look forward to engaging. Bye.